You're watching another great catfishing video from Learn to Catch Catfish with your host, professional guide Chad Ferguson. Catfishing TV covers tips, tricks, and information to help you learn how to catch more and bigger catfish on your next fishing trip. The ultimate resource available for expert catfishing information. After watching, make sure you visit learntocatchcatfish.com. Now, here's your host, Chad Ferguson.
Fishing this way is nothing like it.
Now let's talk a little bit about bank fishing. I fish 365 days out of the year from a boat. It's been a long time since I've done any bank fishing. So let's talk a little bit about what you look for when you go out and fish with this CJ's catfish bait from the bank.
Well, a lot of times, just like we talked about earlier, in the early spring, spawning time, when you're going to fish from the bank, you got two choices. A lot of times I fish on the riffraff, but a lot of people can't get out on that riffraff because of their age. You know, again, the rocks there bother people, and some people just don't like getting out on them rocks.
Sure.
Well, so since you're not able to do that, then you look for the boat ramps, the concrete boat ramps. You fish off the bank, and the reason for that you want to fish them boat ramps is because them actually, when it gets warm or you get that sun, it comes down and it heat up that concrete first, just like the riffraff. When you fish in the riffraff, that sun comes down on them rocks and it heats that area up first, and that's where them catfish come in at.
Sure.
They like heat, just like we do. We like heat. We like to be warm.
That's why I'm not out fishing in the snow today.
That's right. So again, that's one of the key things I look for. I also look at the water itself. Again, I talked about the wind. I like the fish into the wind, not away from the wind. I want them waves to be coming in on me. The reason for that, because it brings in the fish, it brings in the bait fish. Every little particle that's out there comes towards you, whether it's little worms or whatever that then fell in the water. It washes up on the bank, then pushes back out. Well, them fish holds right in there just a little ways from the bank, and that's what I look for. You usually have a little line that goes through the water, a little bubble line right there. You want to throw right into that bubble line again. That brings them fish right up in there, and it's dynamite for that punch bait. When you throw that punch bait out there, you get a little bit of it trickles off, and that's what them fish looks for, and you see that cork just flies under. So again, that's some of the things I look for when I'm fishing off the bank.
Now tell me, Charles, specifically, when one of the things I hear a lot from guys that are catfishing from the bank is that, you know, they get out and they're not catching fish. So let's say you get out and you've been 30 minutes or an hour and you're not getting any bites and you're not catching fish. Now, do you change your depth? Do you go look for a different place and just load up and move? How do you approach that if you're just not getting bites?
Usually if I'm not getting a bite when I get out there, usually I set my slip cork at a certain depth. And of course, it's when you throw out there, if the wind's blowing like that, it's gonna drift a little bit. So I got at that depth and that fish should hit it. I'm not there no longer than 45 minutes before I move. Because if you don't get a bite within 45 minutes, them fish are not there.
Yeah.
Now, you can wait a little longer, and eventually them fish is going to come up in there, because the thing about it is, the more you throw out there with that bait, it's almost like baiting the hole. You're going to draw them fish in. So sometimes you can give it a little time, and you throw out there in the same spot. Don't scatter out and throw here and throw there. You keep on throwing out in that same spot, and that'll bring them fish in there. But of course, if sometime they don't come in there, then you make a move. You go fish. If you was fishing in open water, you go up into a creek, and you try that creek, and you try a different depth. And most times, you're gonna find them fish with this punch bait. If they're not hitting this bait, usually they're not hitting.
All right. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot.